What is up, my planeswalkers? So today we are finally getting to that budget rebuild of the Domri Domri City Smasher planeswalker deck that I said I would be doing. It took me a bit, because when you're rebuilding or upgrading a deck for standard play, you don't want to take out literally everything in it, because, to be fair, most of, if not all of, the cards in the Domri City Smasher deck are not Tier 1 standard playable cards. That's on purpose. They do that intentionally. But if you want a Tier 2 deck, something to play and have a good time with and win some games with, except versus Control, because Control is a bunch of jerks that don't want you to have fun. You have the deck that I have put forth right here. So I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I put in, some of the stuff that I took out, and why. You can make the decision whether or not you want to follow this suggested path of your own. So, mana base, I did change it up a little bit. Obviously, if you can get the Rootbound Crags or the Stomping Grounds, use those instead of the other duels. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mountains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 forests, and a combination of 6 of the tap lands. Either Gruul Guildgate or Timber Gorge. You can put them in any combination of 6 that you want. I did 3 of each, just for the poo of it. It doesn't really matter which ones you use. You can do a total of 8 of those if you'd like. But remember that tap lands slow you down a lot. So the only reason that I would go up any higher than 6 is if you have the Rootbound Crags or the Stomping Grounds, things that can come in untapped if you need them to. Since we are looking to play big creatures, because it's, Gruul, and that's kind of what we do, I absolutely recommend that you do some mana ramping, which was not included in the original deck, using some Llanowar Elves. Llanowar Elves are a good go-to if you're wanting to get bigger critters out there faster. The faster you're able to react, the faster you're able to fill the board, the better off you're going to be. So, let's talk real quick about some of the stuff that we kept and why we kept it. We did keep 2 Domri's Nidorogs, Nodorogs, I don't even know, making up some random crap, and Domri City Smasher, because when it enters the battlefield, you can search for Domri City Smasher, and you want to get that. So it's effectively like having 3 copies of this available to you, so that you can utilize them. I do still keep those in there because this is the Planeswalker deck that's associated with it. However, if you get access to Domri Chaosbringer, absolutely trade some copies in. You'll actually want to be trading these in for copies of Rhythm of the Wild. So instead of the enchantment Rhythm of the Wild, you'll put in Domri Chaosbringer instead. Because as much as I really want Rhythm of the Wild to be a fantastic card, it almost never is. So those are if you can get them. So they're not actually part of the deck. They're just extra bits that if you happen to have. Another option on instead of Llanowar Elves is the Incubation Druid. Because Incubation Druid, if you get it down early, you can adapt it and make it a 3/5, which is pretty powerful. Or, if you get it down late and you have a Rhythm of the Wild out first, it comes down being able to tap for 3 mana, which is intensely useful in a deck like this. So if you have Incubation Druid, I would absolutely swap them out 1 for 1 for Llanowar Elves. It reduces your turn 1 plays, but this is not a turn 1 deck. This is not a deck that really wants to do much of anything on turn 1 except for get a land down. Ideally a tap land so that you're not wasting time later. As far as the way that I decided to go with the deck, So I'm going to give you a quick overview, kind of see all the different cards that are going on. You can see that we are very creature heavy, lots of fun stuff going on there. As far as the deck, because the deck came with Glass of the Guildpact, which you can see here, multicolored creatures you control get +1/+1. So what I did is I went through, not you, and I took out most of the monocolored things. I took out Bullrat Clan Crusher because that's not a very good card. I mean, yeah, you can tap him to do 2 points of damage to a target, but he's also a 4/4, so maybe no. Axebane Beast is just vanilla, charging Warboar. It's got fake Riot on it. So why would you have fake Riot when you can have actual Riot? You know, that's not conditional. Wrecking Beast is great, but I think the Ravager Worm is probably a better choice, especially if you have Glass out. Feral Maka is just a vanilla creature. Gravelhide Goblin is only good in limited. Another charging Warboar. Sylvan Brush Strider is nice. Enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. That's good, but no. And Rampaging Renthorn, a single copy of it, not overly helpful. So, basic theme of the deck. What you're wanting to do is you're wanting to get out many creatures, lots of things. Rhythm of the Wild is something that is good to have at least a couple copies of in the deck, especially versus control, because creature spells you control can't be countered. If you are on the play and you get this down turn 3, you're able to make sure that your creature spells, which is the majority of the deck, can't be countered, which means they have to deal with them after they're on the board. Now, in Standard, there are plenty of ways to deal with them after they're on the board, so you have to read your meta. Understand how many sweepers that the opponent is going to be playing. Like, if you know you're playing against Orzhov, maybe don't put down everything you have in your hand until they wipe the board and kill everything. So, anyway, I'm off track. So we went with Glass of the Guildpact to kind of keep with the original theme. We used Lightning Strikes to replace the other damage spell, because Lightning Strike, as you can see, is 2 casting cost instead of 3, which is very important. And with this, the Ragefire, it's sorcery speed and target creature. So Lightning Strike is instant speed and any target creature or player. So it is very much more a flexible and cheaper casting cost thing. So that is absolutely going to needing to be replaced. Arguments could be made to run an extra copy of Glass of the Guildpact instead of Grand Warlord Rada. I mean, Grand Warlord Rada is part of your ramp. It's a 3/4 for 4, which is great. Has haste, which is great. Whenever one or more creatures you control attack, add that much mana in any combination of red and or green until end of turn, and you don't lose mana as the steps and phases end. So until the end of your turn, you know, second main, and that's pretty much it, because that's all you got. But you get to keep it, so you can use it to cast other stuff. Like, say you get this and a couple of other creatures out, you attack with everything, and then your second main, because you need extra mana, you're able to cast, you know, Ravager Worm, because you only had 4, but now you have 6 because you attacked with 3 creatures or whatever. And when Ravager Worm enters the battlefield, it does like extra fun stuff. So that's the reason for the Grand Warlord. Frenzied Errinx is absolutely good enough to keep. It's a 3/3 for 4, with effectively a 4/4 for 4, but it's pumpable. You should replace this as you go through. I would absolutely swap out Gruul Spellbreakers, 1 for 1. You get an extra Gruul Spellbreaker, swap it out for the Frenzied Errinx. But as this is a budget rebuild, we don't have a ton of extra dollars to waste, and Gruul Spellbreaker is probably the most expensive additional card. No, it is definitely the most expensive additional card being added into the list. It depends on which, you know, site that you're using for upgrades and such. So I had to include at least 2 because, I mean, for crap, look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's a 3/3 for 3 with Riot, so he could be a 4/4 if you want him to be, or he's a 3/3 haste if you want him to be. He has trample, which is awesome. And as long as it's your turn, you and Gruul Spellbreaker have hexproof. So as soon as he hits the board, you can't be targeted on your turn. So Settle the Wreckage, yeah, that's not a thing anymore. If you're wanting to, you know, somebody to target you specifically with you have to sacrifice a creature, can't do it. So that is very helpful, basically, against Settle the Wreckage. I mean, that's his main thing. It's great. I love it. And he also can't be killed until the opponent's turn. So if they don't have some sort of other removal, he's stuck on the board. Of course, we have Regis for Alpha. Not my favorite include for this deck. I mean, it's great because it's effectively 7 power minimum. 8 power if you've got the Glass of the Guildpact out there. And, you know, uncounterable if you've got Rhythm of the Wild. And it kind of plays well together. But I don't know. I might see that traded out for like a Sunder Shaman or something, which is part of the couple of cards that I recommend for the start to your sideboard if you're looking to build one of those. But you know, Regis or Alpha, it's multicolored, goes with the Glass of the Guildpact. Things are good. You have Thrash and Threat. I only have 1 copy added in right now. I do recommend that if you have the ability to get more of them, they're good. It's great because Planeswalker is included in that. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or Planeswalker you don't control. And if you haven't heard yet, the next set is going to be chock full of Planeswalkers. So this is going to be a really good include. And if they don't have anything for you to kill, you can make more beasts of death and destruction. And then Collision Colossus is actually one of the ones from the deck itself. Deals 6 damage to target creature with flying, which is great. You need at least one of these in here. I would recommend, you know, 2 or 3. Colossus, target creature gets +4/+2 and gains trample. So if you have a creature that doesn't already have trample, like say a 4/4 dinosaur that, you know, you just cast, the next turn you can give it +4/+2 and trample. So those are your split cards for functionality. And I'm going to keep on going over. I do have 2 copies of Trollbred Guardian. It's a bit expensive, but if you've got Rhythm of the Wild and you're tossing +1/+1 counters on stuff, just having him on the field, you don't even have to adapt him, although I would, because why wouldn't you? Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. So being able to add trample to anything that you've got that doesn't already have it, like Ravager Worm, doesn't have trample, and you're probably going to want to bring it in with a +1/+1 counter on it, because you want to be able to target, you know, the creatures they've got to remove some stuff. Now it has trample. So it's now a 5/6 with trample. As far as the Trollbred Guardian itself, if you're sideboarding stuff, you could absolutely sideboard this out depending on the matchup that you're going up against. If you know that you're not going to need the trample, if you know you're going to need more of the instant or sorcery hate, you've got the Cinder Vines. Just trade them out 1 for 1. You know that if you're dealing with somebody that does a lot with artifacts or enchantments, bring in Sunder Shamans, something like that. And especially with him not being able to be blocked by more than 1 creature, most of the time, if you're bringing this guy in, they're not going to have anything with high enough power to kill it. So that's, you know, super helpful. And it also makes their enchantment removal type things like Conclave Tribunal and whatnot far less effective. And it's dual colored, so it gets information from the last of the Guild Pact. Anyway, not important. I keep going off topic. So having him in here is good as a main board, but then sideboard him out for things that are more accurate to the matchup that you're going up against. And the last 3 cards I left in the copies of Zertog Goblin. It's a 2/2 for 2 with haste, or a 3/3 for 2 on turn 2 most of the time. So it's a good include. It's not wonderful. You could absolutely, instead of swapping out Llanowar Elves, you could swap out Zertog Goblins for Incubation Druids. If that's the route you decide to go with it. It also decreases your mana requirements, because you only have to have green. And green is the majority of the casting cost, because we want to make sure we can cast Llanowar Elves to help us cast our big multi-cost creatures. So that is the budget upgrade. All told, it'll probably cost you about $15. Maybe a little more depending on the Regisaur Alpha, because he dropped in price pretty hardcore with Guilds of Ravnica, and I forgot to look this one up. But he was down to like $1 and change, $2. But overall, it's as cheap of an upgrade as I could give this. Now, I understand that you're watching this because you want the thing that makes you be successful. Don't play this. If you have a competitive meta, like people routinely just controlling the board and wiping everything and just being ridiculous, this will not get you any closer than top 8 at large groups. If you're going for smaller groups and you know the people and you're playing against them and you're like, yeah, this will absolutely take people down, do it. Absolutely. But this is not nearly as competitive as I want it to be. And I love Gruul. It would take a huge amount of upgrade to be competitive. Like, if you're looking to make it, you'd have no Rhythm of the Wilds, and you'd have 3 copies of Rekindling Phoenix, and like no Collision Colossus, a bunch more burn spells. I mean, it's a completely different deck. If you would like to see that deck tech, I'm looking to build it for myself. So just let me know, and I can actually do the deck tech video in the future. Just leave a, leave a note in the comments down here somewhere, wherever the comments are. But that's the Domri upgrade. I'm working on the Dovin one right now. Again, it's not going to be really competitive, but it is going to be fun, because this has the potential to be a crap ton of fun, which is what Magic is supposed to be. Not, I control you until you can't play anymore, because people that do that are jerks. And yes, if you're listening to this, I'm talking to you specifically. Anyway, I will talk to you next time, Planeswalkers. Thanks for tuning in, and have a wonderful day.